Screenshots have existed for a while. They really only started getting a ton of attention in the last 2 weeks. People then flooding her comment sections asking her to address the posts. You also had some even accusing her of trademarking and copywriting those posts to prevent them from being shared further. A claim that reportedly started on the Do We Know Them podcast, with the host claiming that they were contacted by Alex's lawyers. But then all of that leading to yesterday, where Alex apologized and addressed all of this on her Instagram story, writing, "I am taking accountability and want to make it clear that I was 13 years old and did not understand the deeply offensive meaning behind that word. That is no excuse for using that word in any context or at any age. That absolutely is not the way I speak or what I stand for." Then adding, "I am deeply sorry that my words have hurt many and have led people to believe that I have any prejudice in my heart. I promise you that could not be further from the truth." And also saying that she regrets how she handled this situation and thinks that it was wrong to stay silent and ignore the controversy for so long. And saying there that she was just unsure of what to do, and this is the advice that she was given, though she now only blames herself for not speaking out faster. And then in addition to that, she addressed the trademark claim, saying, "In the absence of my addressing this, my silence allowed others to fill the void with rumors that simply aren't true. One rumor in particular is that I tried to trademark my old post, which is absolutely ridiculous and untrue." So as far as, if this apology is working, it seems to be for some, but others less so. And with that, here's the only thing that I'll say, right? Because this is not a situation where this is an apology for me to accept or not. I don't know if you can tell. But all I ask, since we're dealing with the court of public opinion, is that you remain consistent. Right? If Alex Earl is one of your faves and you're like, this was 10 years ago, she was a child, we should forgive. Awesome, that is your personal position. I hope that you maintain that same energy when it deals with someone that you do not like. And same for the other side. If you look at Alex Earl and you're like, fuck her, just because she was 13 and it was 10 years ago, that's no excuse. I hope you have that same energy when something like this happens with one of your faves. Just be consistent, or at least have that same energy. And I also say that understanding not every situation is the same, right? Some people have more obviously changed from who they were in the past than others. So you can never really know who a person is or what they really are because you're not them. So that's all I'll say on that note. But notably, this is not the only reason Alex Earl was in the headlines lately, because Rolling Stone just published a list of the most influential creators of 2024, and Alex was at the number 8 spot. In that article, it didn't dive into this controversy, but notably, she also wasn't the only person dealing with some backlash on the list, right? Because at number 3, you had Mr. Beast, with Rolling Stone loosely touching on the variety of allegations that he's currently facing, saying people debate the ethics and authenticity of his high production charitable feats, his all-encompassing platform, the impact he's had on his North Carolina hometown, and the working conditions on his shoots, which are currently under scrutiny. But his spot on the list, it primarily focused on his historic subscriber count and his philanthropic content. And as you'd expect, there were a ton of other big names on the list: Hassan Piker, Jake Shane, Keith Lee, Pokimane, Nara Smith, all making the list. And at the top spot, you had Kai, Sinet, and then Rhett and Ling taking home silver. As far as how Rolling Stone determined this list, the outlet said it kind of had to overall consider what power on the internet even is, explaining, "We had to grapple with a highly subjective question. What does it mean to have influence? It's not just about who's getting sponsorships, it's about having people look up to you, follow and comment on your posts, engage with and share your content, and truly care what you have to say, for better or worse." And with that, saying that they asked creators from fashion to food to travel to nominate their favorites and also reviewed data from Creator IQ. But with all that said, I gotta ask, what are your thoughts here, whether it be the Rolling Stone list or Alex specifically? And then, this clip out of Arizona has drawn a ton of outrage online. So let's walk through it, right? So you have this mother named Rebecca Massey who is speaking during public comments at a surprise city council meeting, but they're specifically criticizing the salary of the city attorney. Mayor Skip Hall then interrupts her to tell her that she was violating a rule that prevents her from using her time at the podium to lodge complaints about city employees, and all of that leading to this interaction.
That's all fine, well and good, but that's a violation of my First Amendment rights.
So that's, this is your warning, okay?
Warning for what?
A warning for attacking the city attorney personally.
This is all factual information.
It doesn't matter.
You're violating my First Amendment rights. I could get up here and I could swear at you for 3 straight minutes, and it is protected speech by the Supreme Court. It is.
No, you can't.
Why don't you look at case law?
No, you can't.
I can.
So if you want to be
also the chair is engaged in debate, so point of order. Do you want to be escorted
out of here? Do you want to be escorted out of here?
You're violating my First Amendment rights.
Talking.
You are violating my First Amendment rights.
That's your opinion.
Right, and Rebecca then acknowledges that yes, she did sign onto a form with the rules, but she said that the rules, they weren't constitutional. And then you had Mayor Hall ordering her off the floor.
Chief, could you have somebody come down here and escort Ms. Massey out?
Really, is that necessary?
Chamber? Yes, I think it is.
In front of my 10-year-old daughter, you're going to escort me out for expressing my First Amendment rights.
She can go with you.
I'm not leaving.
Well.
I'm expressing my do not touch me.
And so she continues to resist as an officer cuffs her and removes her. She's trying to tell him not to touch her. And asks what charges she's being detained for. He then forces her out and she leaves the frame of the video. Now with this, reports say that she was cited for criminal trespassing, and of course we've seen that clip garner a ton of backlash. With tons of people seeing that and saying that America is becoming a fascist state and claiming that the rule she was accused of violating shouldn't exist as it violates free speech. And others adding the most power-hungry people in the world are in your local governments. Don't really care what her political opinions are. We shouldn't be arresting citizens for criticizing government officials. End of story. You even had the mayor-elect of Surprise issuing a statement condemning the situation, writing, as Americans, our right to free speech is fundamental, especially when it comes to holding our government accountable. What happened to Rebecca Massey is unacceptable. No citizen should ever be arrested for voicing their concerns, especially in a forum specifically designed for public input. And now some even expect legal action to be taken, with the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression sharing the video of the arrest and writing, "City of Surprise, we'll see you in court." And so for now, we'll have to see where this goes, if a lawsuit gets filed, and then what comes from it. And then we just got a bombshell or a nothing burger. Those are the two main reactions we've seen so far. Because Meta's CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, just sent a letter to the House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan in response to the committee's investigation into content moderation on online platforms. And in his letter, Zuckerberg aired a number of grievances and touched on several controversies. But really, the thing that's been grabbing headlines is when he said that senior officials from the Biden administration, quote, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. And you have outlets like Axios noting that Zuckerberg said in September of 2020 that Facebook wouldn't treat anti-vax posts as misinformation, a policy that changed just a few months later in February of 2021. And in fact, by August of 2021, Meta said that it removed more than 20 million pieces of content on Facebook and Instagram for violating COVID misinformation policies. But Zuckerberg's letter went beyond just detailing this pressure from the White House. He condemned it, saying, "We made some choices that, with the benefit of hindsight and new information, we wouldn't make today." And adding, "I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration in either direction, and we're ready to push back if something like this happens again." With Zuckerberg then going on to say that he regretted hiding content related to the New York Post coverage on Hunter Biden ahead of the 2020 election, which, the FBI said may have been rooted in a Russian disinformation operation. And Zuckerberg added, "It's since been made clear that the reporting was not Russian disinformation, and in retrospect, we shouldn't have demoted the story." With him adding there that Meta has since changed its policies and processes to ensure that that situation doesn't happen again. So now with this, we've seen Republicans on the committee celebrating this letter, calling it a, quote, big win for free speech. But then on the other side, you have the White House holding their ground and defending their approach to COVID misinformation, saying in a statement, "When confronted with a deadly pandemic, this administration encouraged responsible actions to protect public health and safety. Our position has been clear and consistent. We believe tech companies and other private actors should take into account the effects their actions have on the American people while making independent choices about the information they present." Right, and it's the last part of that last sentence that has some saying this is a nothing burger, with people claiming that this is Zuckerberg just trying to shield himself and throw someone else under the bus. Because as places like the Washington Post wrote, Zuckerberg also said Meta's content moderation actions were its own and not the result of government compulsion, a characterization consistent with the Supreme Court's ruling that the plaintiffs failed to show a direct connection between government pressure and the removal of their posts. Or with Zuckerberg even writing, "We own our decision." But with all that said, I gotta pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts here? And then, did you know that your metabolism is at the center of everything your body does? Optimal metabolic health translates to a bunch of benefits, including improved energy levels, better fitness results, better sleep, easier weight management, and more. And thanks to our sponsor, Lumen, you just breathe into this device first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're mostly burning fats or carbs. And then get this, Lumen gives you recommendations for a personalized nutrition plan to improve your metabolic health. You can breathe into it before and after workouts and meals to know exactly what's happening in your body in real time. And Lumen gives you tips to keep you on top of your health game. And personally, I've used it before hikes or runs to see if my energy level needed a boost with a quick banana or something. No kidding. Sometimes I need it, sometimes I don't. And especially as now I'm training for my first half marathon, it's great having Lumen in my back pocket. So if you want to take the next step in improving your energy and health, go to lumen.me/DeFranco to get 15% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/DeFranco for 15% off your purchase. And thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring today's show. And then, should people get money for donating a kidney to a stranger? And I ask that not as some hypothetical, moralistic question, but because right now there's a bipartisan bill in Congress that would do exactly that. Right? It's called the End Kidney Deaths Act and would offer a refundable tax credit of $10,000 a year over 5 years for a total total of $50,000 to people who donate a kidney to a stranger on the National Kidney Wait List. And that would be absolutely massive for so many people, because according to the National Kidney Foundation, there are over 100,000 Americans currently waiting for a kidney. But because of the ongoing kidney shortage, there are only around 17,000 people a year that receive a kidney. And this is thousands are removed from the list every month, either because they died or they just became too sick for a transplant. In fact, according to a press release announcing this legislation, 100,000 people died while waiting for a kidney between 2010 and 2021. And over the last 15 years, 50% of the people waiting have died before getting a kidney. And notably, for the last 2+ decades, there has been no increase in the number of living donors, which has largely hovered around 6,000 a year, right? Because the